There I am. Hello. Hi, welcome to another stream of Lyrebird Edits. Hello. Hey there, how you doing? How are you doing? Apologies to everyone who's been in my Discord. Um I've been absent for the last couple of days. I was having my carpet cleaned and my computer was unplugged. It sounds like an excuse I'm making up on the fly, but that's really what happened. That and I've just been really busy with a PhD. Yeah, that thing. Um, hey, Sakoj. Hi. Hey, and Stirring Bone. Hello. Can we see the Steam carpet only if you're good? Okay, as a reward for best behavior, I will give you unprecedented access to to. I don't want to finish saying that. It sounds a bit weird, but yeah, we'll see. Outrider SG. Damn, who the f is this guy? Outrider. Can I time you out? Can I ban you? I don't want you here on my stream. Hi, welcome. Good to see you again. The trick is to deliver it in a convincing manner as well. You gotta own that excuse. Yeah. No pussyfooting around with the excuses. So yes, apologies if you've been saying hello to me on Discord or wondering where I was. What I did see, apart from the Emu War reference, was Artie Safari dropped their game. They were talking about it last stream, where they like you play as an office worker. I don't know how I saw this, but just as I was scrolling up through, um, yes, here it is. So I'll have to try it. It looks fun. At a later date. Sorry, apologies, Vince Herringbone. Thank you for the correction. It is the Great Emu War, not to be confused with the Lesser Emu War. And then the Emu Civil War. Hey, capital Z. Yes, I do, or capital Z if you're not from my country. I do edit. Yes. Um, what we do on Lyrebird Edits is we get people to send in their stories, or I go scouting around for them, and yeah, we display them here, go through it line by line, and mostly I do line editing, so it's where you work through a paragraph and look at whether or not it flows, the grammar's good, but I also do developmental. I sort of mix it up a bit. I talk about how the story's progressing and if the elements are working together. Yeah, that's what we do. The Great Emu War. Fought that day. Hang on a second. I thought you were doing an intentional misspelling of fort, but no, I'm just very silly. That's exactly how you spell fort. I shouldn't have even admitted to that silliness. I lowered myself in my own eyes. Oh no. What am I doing? Occasionally I'll see a word and I'll think, that's not how it's spelled. And then that's exactly how it's spelled. Fortunately, that happens very rarely when I'm editing, and more just in cases where I'm not focusing. Thank you. Thanks very much, capital Z. Or capital Z. Probably capital Z. I'll call you capital Z. Yeah, I think that's I've noticed a couple of other people who do edits tend to just have a bit more of a silent approach. Um, whatever works. Maybe some people treat it more as like I'm not sure. Some people might like the focus that brings. I prefer the sound of me blah 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 airing for a couple of hours. I don't know. I suppose I could do a stream where I didn't talk, but I don't know. I think part of the benefit of doing it this way is that you have a discussion and everyone can contribute. We can all throw our ideas together. Yeah, I like that actually. You can call me Cap. Will do. That's a lot easier, a lot shorter. I like it. Hmm. Okay, cool, nice. I know that there is a video editing section which has like the not the scissors. It's like I forget what the logo is now. I think maybe when people see editing, they think video editing, because that kind of makes more sense in a visual respect, but yeah. And of course the distractions, yes sir, Codge, we can't forget the distractions. I love that. Yes, some editors need to feast off the live fear that having your work edited in public brings, like a sort of fear vampire or a fear succubus. Hmm. I'm still fleeting. You slap that band-aid on, Outrider SG. I think you've um when we went through your story, it wasn't all that bloodbathy. And I don't think I edit that way anyway, where it's anywhere near a bloodbath. How are you going with your reworkings? Have you decided what to do about how you're going to end that first section, or how you're going to handle the multiple point of views? Thank you. I'm from Australia. I'm from Australia, Cap. Specifically Sydney on the eastern side. Wait, east is that way for you. Yes, that's right. Yeah, eastern side, Sydney. Oh, cool. Okay, nice. I think that's a good place to cut it, and then you can change the POV. Cool. Oh, Canada, nice. Very cool. I don't think anyone else here is from Canada. We've got a couple of people from the UK, one from Sweden, a couple of Americans, Filipino? Yeah, multinational stream. Look, why don't we start? I think I've waffled enough. Let's go into chapter 2. I wonder if Naz is going to come on tonight. Um, anyway, we've been working through Nazgula's story. It's called The Demon of Eden. If you'd like to watch the first 2 edits I've done of chapter 1, you can go onto my YouTube page. The link is on my Twitch homepage thing. Or pop into the videos on Twitch, and it should still be there for a couple of weeks more. Until Twitch just goes blur, you have no videos anymore. Good old Twitch. And yeah. So I guess what we'll do is read down for a little bit, maybe until it feels right to stop, and then we'll go and do some edits. Now, for those who are coming into this story blind, we have a couple whose marriage is kind of on the rocks, I suppose. They've recently lost their young daughter. We don't know how old that daughter was. Anyway, they're going to in order to sort of start the new year, they have this sort of ritual, I guess, where they go to a mountain range or a park and they walk around. One thing leads to another. They follow some strange lights into the forest, get lost, and stumble upon this little sort of hamlet. Secluded village, I guess. It's a bit more than a hamlet. It's quite large. The main character, Ellie, has sort of broken her leg, and Hugh is her significant other, and they've decided to lodge in the town overnight. So there's a bit of a mystery as to what's going on. The town has a bit of a weird vibe to it. And Ellie's relationship with her husband is dicey right now. So just gonna finish this off. So, Hugh was mute while he carried me down the street. This is from Ellie's perspective, by the way. Hello, microphone. Hugh was mute while he carried me down the dim street. Although we were so close, not a word was shared between us. The silent treatment is for children, a coward's way out of an argument, but he didn't care. I hated being left to wonder what was wrong, but I was unwilling to ask, unsure if I had the emotional strength to deal with whatever issue he had with me right now. Or with me now. We'd had so many issues over the last 6 months. I missed the guy that I'd fallen in love with. The one who didn't beat around the bush and told it like it was. But he wasn't that guy anymore. He was so handsome, with soft golden hair flowing down to his waist. Whoa, that's new. That's a new detail. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. It also helped that he had a killer sense of humor. Funny blondes were my type. I met him when he was performing at a bar with a when he was performing at a bar with a band made up of his fellow programmers, which they named Python. Yeah. We hit it off we hit it off instantly, drunkenly stumbling back to his place after the show, and began dating soon after. I wonder if there's like a play on words we could think of for a collection of Python. Um, like the list comprehensions or something like that. I'm not sure. If anyone here knows programming, let's bash out some ideas. Um, it sort of seems like you have to, like, if a bunch of nerds are going to be in a band, you have to have like a pun for the name of the band. Anyway, that's beside the point. Let's keep going. We hit it off instantly, drunkenly stumbling back to his place after the show, and began dating soon after. We were enamored with each other. But now we were always mad about our jobs, our sex life, even our dog. Everything. I still loved him, but our relationship had grown stale and uncomfortable. Naz suggests something needs to go here, so we'll keep that in mind. We proceeded through the dim neighborhood, the farmhouses looming over us like watchful sentinels. Unseen eyes boring down on us. Excuse me one moment. Let me just check where we ended up last time. I think, hang on. Have we edited this part already? Excuse me, one sec. I think this has been modified since we last looked at it. Oh wow, sorry, people are chatting. Let me go back and have a look. I have lost my chat box. That is nice. Hmm. Oh well, I now have no idea what anyone said. Like this is the one above me is only a little snapshot, and usually I have a full record, but I don't anymore. I don't know why. So everything above here I've lost. I'm really sorry. I think Real Psychos has popped in. Hey, hi, how are you? Good to see you. What fun memes have you missed? Haha. Probably with the steamed carpet. We'll get to that in a sec. You have a scripts could be good. Um, that's right, the steamed carpet. Yes, good. And I promise to show off my. I'm not even gonna say it. Anyway, back onto the stream. Back onto the stream. Let's not lose focus. I remember chapter one. Hang on. No, we've gone through all of chapter one. So what we have here is a revision. Sorry, chapter two. What we have here is a revision of what we did last time. Yeah, I'm actually a bit confused because this says chapter two, but here is stuff inside it, um, where they go into the. I think what Naz has done, is she split chapter one at the end where they decide to stay in the town. Chapter two, this is a new section, and we have come to this part here, which is the when they're walking down the street, looking at like the police station, the rustic small town. Um, they go into the inn. There's a person there. Any rooms available? They go upstairs. He dumped me on the bedspread, which is what was in the last stream. I need a shower. That's right, I remember this. So Naz has, I think, split chapter one into two, reworked a bit of chapter two, and here is where we got to. Does that make sense, guys? I think, yep, that might be it. I think she moved details around. Yep. Lievra, go away. Come back to Twitch. I like it better when you're on Twitch. You're a nicer person. You're one of my only YouTube commenters as well. Um, Yeah. Okay. Options. I can rework through chapter 2 or I can push on to chapter 3. I'm 50-50. I don't have any direction from Naz, so um not sure. Maybe we can just push forward because it doesn't seem like chapter 2 has been like nothing is fundamentally different, just the elements have been polished up. Yeah, yes, I know. I'm not sorry. The mug is there. I think I'll go with 3. Yep. Um, is Clem here? No, I don't think so. I don't see her. Okay, cool. Let's go chapter 3. Okay, to bring everyone up to speed, in chapter 2, after they find the doctor in the village, they go to the inn. They book in a room. They have like Ellie and Hugh have a little fight, and then Ellie's like, "I need to go outside." Bam, chapter 3, it's called now. Here's where we're up to. Um. Oh. I am not privy to Walking Dead. Yep, me too. Whoosh right over my head. I'm sorry for bothering you again tonight. Ryan smiled. It's no problem. Would you like some tea? He asked, closing the door behind me. I looked around the room, noting that the television had gone back to static. The antennae reverted back to their odd angles, as if the static were there by preference. I shook the oddity out of my mind, counting it as insignificant. Do you mind if we have something stronger? Oh yeah, of course, Ryan said, walking over to me. He took me by surprise, picking me up and walking me into the kitchen. He placed me down on a chair at the table, which was a comfortable card table, perfect for a small breakfast or a poker game, which he seemed the type to have. The kitchen was the same as the living room, covered with old yellowed wallpaper that gave a feeling of quaint, small town living. It was the kind of place you would expect to sit down to an enormous Sunday breakfast, prepared by a loud, plump farm wife. There was a comforting warmth to it, like a childhood home. Whiskey all right with you? Ryan said, pouring himself a glass, the gold ring gleaming on his ring finger. Yeah, thank you. So, are you married? I asked, holding up my own ring finger. He turned and looked confused at first. And then he laughed, staring down at his finger. Oh no, this is my dad's ring from when he married my mother. There were pictures of a family of 6 above the stove. I pointed to it, asking, Do you live with your family? He turned and looked. Oh yeah, I used to, but my siblings left, and my mum died a few years ago, he said, going back to browsing his cupboards for another whiskey. Just me now. Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay, she was a shrew anyways, he said, letting out a hearty laugh. I laughed with him. My own mother had died 5 years prior, and I didn't miss her either. When the pastor called her a saint at the funeral, I was reminded of her black-handed comments on my tummy pooch. Translate this. Americans, help me. What does this mean? And Oh no no, gotcha. Yeah, no, it's like a paunch. Paunch? Is that the word? Is that a word? Punch. Pooch is a dog. Unless it's like a specific misspelling of it. Hmm. We call it a paunch. Huh. Cool. It's a Middle English word. There you go. Thank you, Google. They have lots of words for it. Australia is up there in the fat ranks as well, so um, we don't have as many words for it. I don't know why. Anyway, and stringy hair, always wondering when I was going to try for kids again after Emma's passing. I scoffed in the middle of a service. Hang on a second. Always wondering when I was going to try for kids again after Emma's passing. Bear with me. Who is Emma? Is she um smart people in my chat box here? Do we have a an instance before of the daughter being named Emma, 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 Emma. I think Emma is the name of her daughter. Now, does this take place at a later? I can't place this. Let me read through it a bit more. I'm still a bit lost. It may not have been on the edit. Yeah, I don't remember. What do your siblings do? I asked, shaking thoughts of my dysfunctional family from my head. Ryan walked over to the picture and pointed at a little girl on the far left. Margot. Oh, Margot, yeah. Margot, he said, some sadness in his tone. She died of leukemia when she was 13, ruined my mum. He, he pointed to the boy beside her who had a mischievous smile on his face. That's my brother Charlie. He's in Boston now, working as a doctor as well. Seems like it runs in the family, I said with a chuckle. Yeah, my father was a doctor, so there was some pressure, he said, laughing with me. He then pointed to the next girl. And Sierra ran away when she was 17, he said, looking tense. Last I heard, she was in New York, shacked up with some drug dealer. Wow, I said, unsure how to react. She was a troubled kid, he said, sitting back down and taking a hearty, healthy swig from his glass and sitting one down in front of me. The whole family assumed she would either become an addict or a creative genius. I looked back at the picture, noting the boy at the far right behind his father. He had a blank expression, stony and lifeless eyes. I take it you're the boy at the end? Oh, yeah, it is. Simpler times, right? He said, leaning back in his chair with a smile. I smiled back. I miss my childhood as well. I'd grown up in Tacoma, Washington as an only child. A life of high expectations. It was a nice enough childhood, I suppose, to grow up in middle class, attending nice schools, without much to truly worry about. I miss the simplicity. I miss not having to ponder dead children and marital issues. So what's going on with you and your husband? Ryan seemed genuinely interested, looking me in the eye. Oh well, I paused, unsure whether I would be talking over my serious life issues with a man I'd only just met. Nothing worth talking about, I lied. Ryan stayed silent, to see if I would say more. Let's cut it there, and we'll go back to the start of chapter 3. Let me do something. Alrighty, nice thing about... Ooh, that looks kind of spooky. There we go, good. Now we haven't got that annoying light. This one up here. Now you can look at my face without having to sort of squint into the light behind my head. I'm a bit confused here with the last thing that happens in chapter 2 is after Ellie and Hugh have a fight with each other, they then decide that Hugh stays and Ellie just goes out. So she's on her way out after a confrontation. Now, in some ways, I quite like that we just crash hard into this scene, which is Ellie and Ryan talking with each other. So Ellie's obviously moved out of the inn, traipsed back to Ryan the doctor's hut, and struck up a conversation with him, which is fine. You can do this. You can wedge a new scene almost perpendicular against the other and have your reader fill in the details in a microsecond. The question I ask as a reader is why does she go back to Ryan? The other question that I'm asking is, can she get back to Ryan, considering that Hugh has had to carry her everywhere? Is Hugh... Okay, I want to check one thing. Broken... Okay, I'm not sure if Naz has decided to rejig the ailment. Last time she broke her leg or her foot. Um It'll be in this section here. I want to track it down. Just bear with me for a tick. Thankfully, you didn't break this. Okay, good. So she sprained it, I think. It's not specified there. I'm gonna go on a new assumption that this chapter takes place with Ellie being able to be mobile. So she's mobile. She's moving back to Ryan. Hey Joe, hey, welcome to the stream. No, I didn't actually. This is by Nazguula, who's one of my followers here. She sent this over to me, and we have been editing her story for the last week. Last two streams were dedicated to the first chapter of this story. My halo went off. Can you turn a halo off? I guess you can turn a halo off. Now that's an interesting point, Outrider. I'm not sure if it's missing so much as... I mean, do we need to have it? None of that, Outrider SG, none of that. Although you know her off stream, so yeah. Get wrecked me. Yeah, and I made the same assumption as you about her having the broken leg. Okay. What I want to know as a... I'm gonna make a comment about this before I do a line edit. Coming into this new scene... Coming into this new scene without any cushioning or movement from A to B is valid. It's not a bad way to do it. It's not a... It's neutral. Like, you can start a scene where you think it's an appropriate place to start. It's a valid choice. It's a valid choice. What you have to watch out for is crashing your reader into a new moment in the story without a map. A motive or clue as to understand some of the basic elements that we've missed during the transition. And what I mean by that is, in this case, Ellie decides to go back to Ryan despite the fact that she has denied to Hugh any sort of flirting between them. So that's a 50-50 thing. It's an illogical thing, but that can work for the story as well if you want to have Ellie do illogical things or react more irrationally to this situation. Totally fine, valid choice, but we have to allow the reader to understand that. You need a key that you can hand to your reader, and then they can take it and understand intuitively what she's doing here. So she decides to go back to Ryan, and almost in so doing, proving Hugh right about why they were having that argument. Hugh was accusing her of being, you were making eyes at that Ryan, weren't you? And Ellie was like, no, what are you talking about? And then she gets upset with Hugh, and then we see here that she actually ends up going back to Ryan. So what we need then is establish in your reader's mind why Ellie has chosen to go back to Ryan. Does she seek comfort? A friendly face? More painkillers? A mixture of these? Right now, we don't really know. So, drop a clue in the narrative to help us out. This scene will then make a lot more intuitive sense to the reader, and they won't be... yeah, potentially. Yep. That's a good point too. Maybe Hugh, in voicing his suspicion, gives Ellie the impression that that's something she can do. Yep. Yep, subconscious desire. Yep. Kick the router. Oh no. My router is fine. In the other room. I turned a light on over here. That's what I was doing then. So the reason why I suggest this is because when we start off with dialogue, let me ask, like, or voice a question that I have when I'm reading something like this. I'm sorry for bothering you again tonight. Ryan smiled. It's no problem. Would you like some tea? Question here for me. Oh, okay, so she's gone back to Ryan. Why? He asked, closing the door behind me. I looked around the room, noticing the television static, antenna with odd angles. If the stake was set by preference, I should be oddity, counting its insignificance. Do you mind if I have something stronger? Oh yeah, of course, Ryan said, walking over to me. He took me by surprise, picking me up and walking me into the kitchen. He placed me down by the chair. I'm still, as a reader, going, why are you here, Ellie? Which was a comfortable card table. And then we have this, which is basically like maybe a bit of a hint as to why she's here. Maybe there was a comforting warmth to it, like a childhood home. Whiskey all right for you? Thank you. Are you married? Ellie, why are you here? And as a reader, I haven't had a satisfactory answer to that within 150 words? 200 words? The longer you leave these types of questions unanswered, the more and more impatient your reader gets. Like, there's only so much intermediate detail I can take before I have to have my question answered. And if you're going to crash hard into a new scene like this, we need something fairly quick to quell that kind of mystery in our minds. It doesn't have to be big, you just have to state it. Or get Ellie to voice her own insecurities, her own concern. Once you do that, for me at least, as a reader, it's cleared up. And from an editor's perspective, I can then say, you are now justified in starting your new scene from dialogue, which is always a bit, it's a bit of a dice roll, because it means that your reader is plucked into a new scene without a setting. I think it's fine and it can work, but a lot of editors will suggest never to start with dialogue for a new scene. I say you can do it. I'm always interested in how people will justify it. Angry for every question you don't answer. Outright SG makes a really great suggestion of incorporating it in dialogue, which is good. So, one way to answer this reader question of motive is to have the key encompassed within dialogue. Hey, Ellie, didn't expect you back here till morning. You need any meds? Ryan, hey. I trailed off. My eyes nowhere before continuing. I don't really know I'm here. I was just walking, sort of found myself at your doorstep. Even that, in its own vagueness, gives me as a reader a bit of a clue. Just a tiny one. You can make it stronger, of course. You could be like, I need to clear my head and just speak with someone normal. I just need to clear my head and speak with someone who isn't going to argue pointlessly with whatever I say. That's a lot more blunt and less subtle, and it's not really what people would do. But regardless, that gives a motive. Once we have this in place, once we have this in place, your readers, ooh, your readers will put aside their questions about the transition between scenes, and engage with the narrative in the present. I looked around the room, noting that the television had gone static. Okay, so if this, oh, hi, Windows settings. Okay, hey, welcome everyone to Windows settings. I am Lyrebird settings. We're going to be talking about privacy tonight, including my location and my camera. Yeah. Thank you, Windows key S. I don't know how I did that. If this TV is all interesting topics. If this TV is important, and it is, I'm judging from the static and the weirdness about it, I'd suggest introducing it. I'd suggest introducing it earlier in chapter 2. That way, when we see the TV again, your reader has a familiarity with it. And you don't need to spend so much energy or reader attention in describing the new object. Antenna reverted back to their odd angles as if the static were there by preference. I shook the oddity out of my mind, counting it as insignificant. The other thing about this is that it's the only detail we get in this paragraph. So it's a very centrally focused element to this paragraph, and it feels like, hey, you come in the door, bam! Also, there's a weird television, and that's all you get. We need more here in this paragraph. I looked around the room. The TV strangeness can't be the sole entry in this paragraph. Describe the interior more. Flesh it out. Otherwise it loses. Otherwise the TV loses its it doesn't lose its importance. It's just the TV is strange thing becomes very much overblown. It's not couched within the narrative very well. Otherwise, the narrative just feels... I don't really know how to type this out, so describe the interior more, because if you don't, then this takes up too much focus and it drags everything down. Libert edits Win32. Oh, were you guys talking over Discord? That's cool. Nice. Good question, Ernst Herringbone. Watch out for the commas prematurely ending those sentences when we have dialogue. He took me by surprise, picking me up and walking me into the kitchen. You can't pick someone up, well, you can if they're on the floor. You pick them up so they're on their feet and you walk them into the kitchen. Picking me up, escorting me into the kitchen, like linking an arm around or through mine. And helping me into the kitchen. placed me down on a chair at the table, which was a comfortable card table, perfect for a small breakfast or a poker game, which he seemed the type to have. The kitchen was the same as the living room, covered with old yellow wallpaper that gave a feeling of quaint, small town living. It was the kind of place you would expect to sit down to an enormous Sunday breakfast prepared by a loud, plump farm wife. There was a comforting warmth to it, a childhood home. A couple of things here we need to talk about. The central image here I'm going to highlight in uh, dark green number one. Yeah, and watch that text disappear. Okay, maybe not. Um, Yellow. I like. Oh dear. I like yellow as a color. It's just a bit overblown as highlighter. Uh, Everything I'm highlighting in yellow is the central idea of homeliness. Everything I'm highlighting in purple is extraneous detail about chairs, tables, and this actually contradicts itself. Have a read of it. He placed me down on a chair at a table, which was a comfortable card table, perfect for a small breakfast or a poker game. Now, this sentence then reads, it was the kind of place you would expect to sit down to an enormous Sunday breakfast. So, there's a mixed metaphor here, and it doesn't serve to actually gel the ideas together, especially because if you notice how the colors work, it's purple, yellow, yellow, purple, yellow. So, they don't flow in together and they don't mesh in a contradictory sense. It's just it's an image that needs to change because it sets up one idea and then establishes another. I'd actually just get rid of it. Um, I don't, as a reader, really. The only thing that's useful here is the poker insinuation, which you can work in another way. Let me show you how. Um, his main I'd actually get rid of the insinuation of the poker game altogether. I think that detail isn't necessary here right now. Um, in which case, once you get rid of the purple, this then becomes yellow and it's all smooth because it doesn't matter anymore that um, it's not contrasting against that image. So with that in mind, the kitchen was the same as the living room, covered with old yellow wallpaper. It gave the feeling of quaint small town living. Now, this is maybe a little too literal. Maybe we can think of a better way to insinuate the same meaning without outright telling you what it's trying to do. Covered with old yellow wallpaper that gave a feeling of a gentle place stilled by the hand of time. Something like that has a lot more weight to it than just this. This is what you're trying to invoke. This is how you invoke it, I think. Do you get ads watching on mobile? Do you get ads watching on desktop? I don't know. Does Twitch put ads over me? They used to in the past. Right, exactly. Like that. That's That's kind of halfway there, isn't it? Because that's a very specific image, which talks about like the burbs, right? And then something like this, which is a bit more abstract, is invoking a similar thing, I hope. Ah, yes for both. Hmm, interesting. It was the kind of place you would expect to sit down to an enormous Sunday breakfast prepared by a loud, plump farm wife. There was accompanying warmth to it, like a childhood home. This, I think, covers the same territory as that does. But if you want to keep it, maybe like this. I can't. There was accompanying warmth that. This is an extension, and I think you can justify it if you reconfigure the sentence such that the narrator is giving their own opinion on events. And there's something I'd like to see a bit more of, I guess, just all throughout the your first person narrative is maybe a little bit more of self commentary by Ellie herself. One of the really nice things about first person past tense is that you allow your narrator to have a bit more input and control over how people see the story. I can't quite put my I couldn't quite put my finger on it. A sentence like this can make the story feel more personal to the narrator and to Ellie. Jurassic Park? What are you talking about, Outrider SG? What are you talking about? Whiskey alright with you? Ryan said, pouring himself a glass, a gold ring gleaming on his ring finger. I'd separate this out into a new sentence. Get rid of A and put his. Maybe something like that. That makes it a bit more specific so you don't have to double up on the ring finger. Oh, okay, cool. Yep. Hmm. I'm not all that comfortable with the never-ending stream of reboots and sequels that we're getting. I didn't see the last Jurassic World. Jurassic World? That's the new one, right? I just kind of thought, yeah. I mean, to each their own. I could get very lost in that discussion, but I think I'll focus on the story. Yeah, thank you. So you married? I asked, holding up my own ring finger. Um. Oh, page source code. Um. I held up my own ring finger, is what this reads. He turned and looked, confused at first, and then he laughed, staring down at his finger. It put but and the negative conjunction. Oh no, this is my dad's ring from when he married my mother. There were pictures of a family of 6 above the stove. Hmm. pointed to it asking, do you live with your family? This should come earlier. Preferably, excuse me, preferably in the paragraph where we deal with introducing the kitchen. Right now, here, or alternatively, you can make Ellie see it then and there as a new object. This is one of those times where you don't strictly need to introduce it earlier. You could actually just say, a family of 6 by the looks of it. Nodding my head towards the scene, I ask, do you live with your family? Do your family live here with you is probably a better thing to say. He turned and looked, oh, yeah, oh yeah, used to, or I used to. Do you live with your family implies that he doesn't currently live here. The reason why I changed this is because Ryan obviously lives here. Have a think about this. See how it works. That wasn't there before. An old photo frame that wasn't there before? Or rather, that I didn't notice before. That I hadn't noticed before by the sink. When my siblings left and my mum died a few years ago, he said going back to browsing his cupboards for another whiskey glass. I'm just going to highlight that and reiterate what I've been saying for the last couple of streams about back-ending the dialogue tags. Because this one's quite long. It's a 3-sentence construction here. Just me now. Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay. She was a sure anyways, he said, letting out a hearty laugh. Again, that kind of dialogue tag. I like with him. My mother died 5 years prior and I didn't miss her either. I'd like this as dialogue. Whoops. Convert to dialogue. Feels a bit more natural for the flow of the story. Ah, cool. Yeah, nice one. I'm glad we're on the same wavelength there. Yeah. Yeah, it's this one's I guess 50-50 if Ellie did see it and remembers it. When the pastor called her a saint at the funeral, then doing this, you can then ease it back into memory as well with another linker sentence. When the pastor called her a saint at the funeral, I was reminded of her black-handed comments on my tummy, pooch, paunch, and stringy hair. Always wondering when I was going to try for kids again after Emma's passing. I'd put this in its own sentence. This is a run-on, but I think this is probably justified with the idea having space between, or 1 foot in each sentence, so to speak. I scoffed in the middle of a service and glares from close relatives. What do your siblings do? I asked, shaking thoughts of my dysfunctional family in my head. Shaking thoughts of my dysfunctional family from my head, comma, I asked, what do your siblings do? Hmm. Yeah, good question. I think I got that impression straight away. This is from Ernst Herringbone asking about whether or not the impression of the scene was set. Yep, I did get it immediately with this television thing. But it's a bit obvious. This is the kind of um, sentence that look. I'm I'm a pretty stupid reader. When it comes to me picking up details in stories, I'm very slow. I don't click in very well with when authors try and do the subtle approach, or rather the subtlety by obscurity. So for me to pick up on detail, for me, it sends my editing alarm bells ringing because what I mean is that this is quite obvious, particularly because there's very little else in the paragraph that's occupying it. Imagine that um, you're filming a movie and the camera is on the inside of a like a spooky hallway and pointing down to the front door. Now, the character is on the other side. They open the door and they step in and they're kind of looking around and they're going, "Hello, anyone here?" They close the door behind them, and the very next thing the camera does is it pans to the television. And we spend 10 seconds with about 3 or 4 subshots of a close up of a static, the antenna, and an establishing scene with the television there, and then back to the main character. That's what this feels like. In my mind's eye, that's kind of what's happened. Like, the characters go in, I looked around the room, and hey, television. I belabored the point enough. Sorry for rambling along there. The really easy fix, just add other stuff in the paragraph, maybe chop it down a little bit so it's not so like blur television. You want it to be a bit more sort of subtle. Yeah. That's a good suggestion, Outrider SG. Where would that go? Yep, I think that's an excellent suggestion. I'm gonna copy that. And comment here. Always what? Is it justifiable to have always wondering when hours? Yeah, I think that's fine to start a sentence. It's a little type of a run-on, I guess. I like this one. As if I could just move past Emma. Is its own snappy rhetorical thing. Yeah, either one's good, I think. Ryan walked over to the picture and pointed to the little girl on the far left. Margot, he said, some sadness in his tone. Um, just be careful about being too literal in your descriptions. If his tone can be replaced with catching in his throat. Means exactly the same thing, but the inflection's different and it reads less like a vanilla description. She died of leukemia when she was 13, ruined my mum. He pointed to the boy beside her. I think that's okay, he had a mischievous smile on his face. That's my brother Charlie, he's in Boston now working as a doctor as well. That's my brother Charlie. Oh, it's my brother Charlie. Yeah, it's my brother Charlie, no comma. If it's comma, that's him addressing someone out loud. I think I should actually, shouldn't I? Yeah. I'll just call you Herringbone. I think what trips me up always seeing it is that this R and this N look like it's an M sometimes. So in my mind, I'm always stumbling over it. I'll just call you Herringbone. Nice and easy. Good suggestion, Sayaka. Leukemia took her when she was just 13. I like the just in there. That's what I especially like about that. Took her, I think maybe I don't know. I'll let Naz decide that one. See which one she likes. When she reviews the stream. Um, hmm. Hope you don't mind. Just give me a minute. I want to go and grab a glass of water. That's a very good Australianism that Herringbone's just just dropped into the chat. Babono. Yeah, very good. Um, yeah, that just seems to be kind of like ubiquitous. It works very well for like very typically white Australian names like Oi Stevo. Um, Damo is very popular and popularized as well by a very um, quirky Australian um, cartoonist called Michael Cusick, who um, you probably don't know directly, but if I told you he had animated the YOLO video, you'd be like, oh yeah, that one. He's an Australian animator, and he has these two characters called Damo and Darren. Um, and the O at the end is like a very typically Australian thing. Um, fun to call sign. See, exactly, yeah. Oh, Siggy Butt Brain. It's we have a good culture in Australia. We're very cultured people. Um, it is a oh yeah, it is. I don't know how I feel about that either. Um, well, of course, the other really popular thing that Michael Cusick's done is that like that 10-minute episode of Rick and Morty where they go to Australia. That's a Michael Cusick animation. Um, and I think a lot of people didn't like that. Um, but I really loved his animation style and his sense of awful absurd humor, and that's a very funny Rick and Morty self parody. um, yeah, I like Michael Cusick. Yeah, but the point of that is just is the O. You can keep him, please. We don't want him back. Yeah, don't don't talk about Rupert Murdoch. Um, yeah, he's got one of his awful Australian accents too. Like he's trying too hard to be Australian. I don't know. It's exercised here. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, he's yeah. Wherever he touches, just turns to yeah. Oh well. Anyway, the less I slander News Corp, the better. Why don't we why don't we get back on? Wait, is it News Corp? Yeah, it is News Corp. Yeah, yeah. Let's not talk about Rupert Murdoch. Yeah. Seems like it runs in the family, I said with a chuckle. Yeah, my father was a doctor, so there was some pressure, he said, laughing with me. And then he pointed to the next girl, and Sierra ran away when she was 17. Um, I'd like a block of dialogue where we don't stop in the middle and have a description of how it's going. Um, and Sierra ran away when she was 17. Last I heard, she was in New York, shackled up with some drug dealer. Kind of sad, really. Sad, really. So much potential. Wow, I said, unsure how to react. Wow. She was a troubled kid. I would like a little bit more about unsure of how to react. Can we have a moment of awkward silence here to slow the pace down? It'd slow the pace down nicely. She was a troubled kid, he said, sitting back down, taking a healthy swig from his glass and sitting one down in front of me. The whole family assumed she would either become an addict or a creative genius. I look back at the picture, noting the boy at the far right behind his father. He had a blank expression, stony and lifeless eyes. I take it the boy at the end? Good. That's a really nice example of how the dialogue can just cut really neatly into a description. Very nice. Love it. And also, it's refreshing to see that like after quite a bit of dialogue tagging, we just get this, and it's really nice and clear. Oh yeah, it is simpler times, right? And we go back into it. He said, leaning back into his chair with a smile. I'd just make it a He leaned back in his chair. He gave me a look or something. I'm not sure. Um, I smiled back. I missed my childhood as well. I had grown up in Tacoma, Washington as an early child. A life of high expectations. It was a nice enough childhood, etc., etc., etc. Do you want to pull some of this out and have it encompass in dialogue-y? That's almost how you spell dialogue. Dialogue. Um, if not, which is perfectly acceptable, I'd like a sentence or two extra to smooth over the transition between hearing about Ryan's story and reflecting on her own circumstances. We've got it here. Something a bit more evocative than I miss my childhood. Oh, actually, it's not a bad transition, but I think we can make it a bit better. So I smiled back. I miss my childhood as well. It's been a long time since I'd actually thought about any of this, but being with Ryan right now was really helping me to blah blah blah, relax, etc., etc. Full stop. I had grown up in Tacoma, so we need a better link up from here into here. I quite like I miss my childhood as well, but then we just push it out. Hey, Rufus Handler, what are you doing up? It's 10:21, 16 p.m. according to my clock. Hello, hi, how are you doing? Always nice to hear from you, Rufus. Always nice. Hi. um, what's going on with you and your husband? Ryan seemed genuinely interested, looking me right in the eye. Maybe have a little transition going from here back into here. I miss not having to ponder dead children, marital issues. Um, yeah, let's have a think about this sentence. I miss not having to ponder dead children and marital issues. So she's thinking back to her. Um, she's thinking back to her Ellie. Um, to deal with death and marital issues. Yeah, that I think that has. Well, except death can tend to strike at anyone too, so it's not just like death is precluded from childhood. I miss not having to deal with marital issues, and I'd probably end it with Ellie. Maybe something like that. It is less personal. I agree. Which is I think why I took it out. Deal with death sounds nice. It's got a decent ring to it. Hey Ollie T, hi. How you doing? Good to see you back. But really, like, I guess because her childhood was so worry free, she can then say this. But right, that could also be just as simple and short and sweet. Marital issues and Emma. That could work too. I'll put that in as a or just Emma. I'll let Naz decide what's going on. Hey, a new job. Congrats. Very good. Excellent. And that's probably keeping you busy, as you say. Yeah, I've been good too. I've been very busy with PhD, and working into the night. But I got my carpet steam cleaned. Um, who wants to see my freshly steamed carpet? uh, uh. Oh, here it is. Blah, hang on, excuse me. Look at that. Look how nice that is. Look how nice this carpet is. It's so fresh. So freshly steamed, this carpet. It's really nice. Just look at this carpet. Just look at the carpet. Just look at it. So yeah, because we're getting our carpet cleaned, I had to unplug my computer tower because we couldn't have anything on the ground. Um, so yeah, I had to unplug it. 10 out of 10 streaming. Thank you. I know you guys come for the edits and you stay for the carpet. That's what we're all here for. Let me get a right in the carpet. I can almost see my reflection in it. I must say you steam a good carpet. That'd be a fantastic moment for someone to come in and just be like, what's happening? What's happening? Melted chocolate carpets. Yeah. Just melted chocolate on carpet is horrible. Um, yeah. I don't think there's anything too exciting in my room to show off anyway. I don't think you got a good glimpse of anything on the way down. Anyway, welcome to Lyrebird Carpet. Lyrebird steams. Oh, very good. Very good. I either one of these is great, but Lyrebird Steams is has a very special place in my heart. Um, oh yeah, ugh. I don't envy you and your dog puke carpet, Outrider SG. Yeah, that's right. All my tasteful posters. Well, um, yeah, I don't know. I don't have many. I've got a couple, but I mean I'm a pretty closet weeb. I don't show it off too much. Yes, hardwood floors. Yeah, we used to have a parquetry floor in our old place, Sekoj. Really easy to clean, just really nice. Yeah, steaming edited carpet. I should have streamed the whole process of carpet steaming. Hmm. I think they'd be wasted on me, Sayaka. What are some tasteful anime posters that you have? Which ones do you like? Yeah, he's hiding his love pillow. No comment. I don't even know that one. Yeah, we've seen dad bird edits, dog bird edits, steam carpet bird edits. Yeah, I don't know. I have to think of what to show off next. Some printed love pillow. Oh, ouch. All right, let's get back in. Let's get back in. Um, I hope that was exciting for you, as it was for me. That was a very steamy distraction. Um, Ryan seemed genuinely interested, looking me right in the eye. I think we can demonstrate this fact a little more. So, for instance, um, Ryan Ryan leans. Uh, Ryan rested, propped his elbows against the table, leaned over the table, resting his body language is a great indicator or a great substitute just for declaring things. He seemed genuinely interested, looking me right in the eye is fine. That's partly body language. Reconfigure it. Ryan leaned over the table, resting his chin on his hands. Rested his chin on his hands, waited. Um, this indicates, the body language indicates the same thing. Oxymoron. Yeah, it's, well, almost. Not obscene at all. Very good. I applaud you um, on your excellent taste, Sayaka. Very good. I'm partial to a good distraction. P.S. It's a great anime film called Makia that's come out in Australia. We were the first place to get it outside of Japan. It's coming to America and the UK in like July, and we've had it for a couple of weeks now. It's really good. The it's quite a it's very emotional, slow, soft, unusual. Did I use unusual? I think I said unusual twice. Regardless, it's a good film. And you should go and watch it if you're a fan of anime movies. Hmm. Yeah, I cried a lot in that movie. Like, whoa, whoa, so much crying. Anyway, I think you're referring to this stream, Ollie T. Yeah, this is part three. I think I'll stop tonight at the end of it, and we'll call it there. And that gives Naz a bit of time to reconfigure the story. Let me get to that in a tick, Sayaka. I remember Paprika. Yeah, that was a good one. Emotional soul, neutral soft. Ah, nice, good. I didn't repeat myself. Um, strong, big strong brave boy. That's me. Yeah. It's called Maquia. 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 When the promised flower blooms, it's one of those Japanese titles that doesn't translate over into English very well. It's probably going to be called Maquia. Maquia. Hmm. So sad. But very happy. I don't know. Very mixed emotions there. In a good way. Oh well, I paused, unsure whether I should be talking over my serious life issues with a man I'd only just met. Um, I don't mind sentences like these, but I wonder if it's not misplaced in this context. Oh, well... Is there effing in it? No. No, there isn't. No. Also, I recommend going into it a bit blind. Like, go and read the description of it, and then just don't read anything else about it. Just read the tagline, maybe a little like one sentence synopsis, and just don't take any more of it in because you'll be very surprised with where it goes if you don't know where it's going. Hmm. Yes. I paused, unsure whether I should be talking over my serious life issues with a man I'd only just met. It's the serious life issues that's tripping me up here. Well, no need to talk about it. He conceded. Would you like another? Maybe something like this would work a bit better. About these sorts of things, maybe has a bit of a softer ring to it rather than over my serious life issues. What do you reckon, guys? Every sentence needs to be broken into two, suggests Emma the Ruthless. Hi, Emma the Ruthless. Hello. Don't think I've said hello to you. That could also work, right? Um, like something like this. Or you could rephrase this into a rhetorical. So, what a question to ask. Was this really the kind of thing I should be talking about with a stranger? So I settled for something like that, for instance. Um, yeah, in a sense, it's partly a point of view issue because having the event take place in the past means that it's kind of like a focalization issue in a sense. Hmm. Oh, nice. Very good. Very good. Enjoy your homework, Emma. Enjoy your homework because it's always fun. Always fun. Talking about, yeah. Hmm. It depends. Like you can have her start off with something and then pick it up later. I'm okay with that. Or you can just have silence and then a lie, which might be more telling of how she's feeling. I'll let Naz decide upon that one. That's a good suggestion, Van Whitman. I think Naz has to sort of find the kind of style she wants to use there. It did, yeah. I was trying to follow it up with something that wasn't. It didn't sound so threatening. I don't know why it came out like that. You better enjoy your homework. Mm. Wait, are you keeping tally? What's with this point system you're dealing with, Outrider SG? it did remind me a bit actually of that, like the SpongeBob sarcastic meme. Well, no need to talk about it. He conceded. Would you like another? Pointing to the glass, to my. Whiskly. Between the pain in my leg and the topic of discussion, I consider booze a welcome release. It's like, whose line is it anyway, where the points don't matter? Hmm. Hmm. There's a lot of diet. Yeah, I'm just thinking about Van Whitman's comment. There are a lot of places where you could easily get rid of a sibling, or talking about one of the siblings. You don't need to introduce them all. Um, you can get rid of the oh well. That might work. Hmm. Let's keep that in mind. I think maybe the only place we can really apply that so far is when the siblings are being introduced. We really don't. We need to know about the leukemia. Oh, no. I mean, maybe in a subsequent edit, that's something that we can focus on. Hmm. Between the pain in my leg and the topic of discussion. Actually, why did I suggest that? Sometimes that vague feeling you get is actually quite important, and it doesn't come to full fruition until you have another crack at reading through the story once the other stuff is polished. That can be useful sometimes. Keep it in the back of your head. Hmm. And truth be told, I got this impression from reading it the first time because we weren't very well grounded in the opening here. But I think now that we've fixed that a little bit, it may be a bit more fluid. We can be more forgiving. And I think that's an important point to note. And maybe Naz can pick up a few places where she reads the dialogue at her own leisure, at her own pace, and thinks, oh yeah, I can cut that, that's unnecessary. Um, Between the pain in my leg and the topic of discussion, I consider booze a welcome release. Fine. I felt the sting work its way down my body, feeling my leg numb, and my mind followed suit. Felt and feeling. I felt the sting work its way down my body, numbing my leg, numbing my. Numbing the drumming pain. Numbing the drumming? It doesn't work as well as I hoped it would. Numbing the drum beat pain, I don't know. We can just get rid of it. Numbing the pain in my leg and my mind followed suit. I leaned back to raise my foot onto the chair next to me. What were we talking about? Your husband, Ryan said, pouring some soda into his glass. Right, I said, rubbing my eyes, mascara blurring them. Something like that. I mean, I guess mascara would blur into your eye, but then you'd have to talk about like the pain that that would bring. Rubbing off into my fingers. I mean, I don't know. Did something happen with you guys? I took another sip. No, we've just been growing apart lately. He's been an asshole since I started my new job, since it takes me away a lot. I'd chop this into a new sentence. I lied? I don't know why we're lying here. I'll let you put that back in, Naz, but justify to me why the lying is taking place. I was relaxed for the first time that day, and I didn't feel like discussing my daughter. Well, it's lying by omission then. My head was swimming and my thoughts were clouded. Well, if you don't mind my saying, I don't blame you for being upset, he said, shuddering at his first sip of whiskey. I don't drink often. He grinned and laughed. I do, I said, cracking up. He chuckled with me. I wasn't sure if it was out of pity or genuine amusement. I didn't care. I didn't care about anything. So, what should you do? He asked. I looked at him, unsure how to respond. I hadn't really given it much thought. He'd done nothing serious enough to justify... He'd done nothing serious enough to justify leaving him. Hugh had done nothing leaving him. The thing I knew was that I longed for the Hugh I'd fallen in love with. And... I don't know what to do. Chapter 4! Yay! I think earlier on in this chapter, that's a good question, Sayaka. Oh, no. I remember where I read it. Chapter 3, which is what we've been editing tonight, actually used to be the end of chapter... Naz has added a chapter between where we... Last stream, it was chapter 1 and chapter 2. Chapter 2 was here, with this event in it. In between the last stream and now, Naz has come through and chopped the first chapter into 2 new chapters, chapter 1 and 2. In a new section in chapter 2, she's mentioned Hugh's asshole character, which is a new detail that I stumbled upon tonight at the very start of a stream, this part here, which is actually before the part where they get to the inn. If you remember from last stream, Hugh and Ellie go into that inn, get a key, and go upstairs. And this is a new thing that Naz has put it in that happens before that. I think it's somewhere in here that she describes him a bit like an asshole who tells it like it is, that kind of thing. I love Agretsuko. It's such a fun, interesting anime. Really cool. I'm glad it exists. Yes. I watched it with my girlfriend, and we both had a great time watching it. Alrighty, let's take a chunk out of chapter 4. I'm not going to finish it, and I think I'll go through this for maybe another 20 minutes. If you don't mind, I might call the stream at sometime after 11. I'm quite tired tonight. But general comments about chapter 3. I think Naz was wondering, you guys said over Discord whether or not you were chatting about whether this scene here had an aura of something not being quite right. My impression is that there's only one place where that happens, and that's at the very start, in this quite blunt, the TV is here, weirdness that's going on. Aside from this, we have some quite... I've implanted my own suggestions on here that may have twisted the implication of all of the scenery. I've made it quite lovely in some sense. In its current state, does it give off the impression that something is kind of wrong? I think that we can work on it. Comments with a big capital O. So here, Tipbox people were saying that you were having a discussion on Discord about the vibe of this chapter. The vibe of this chapter. It's the vibe of this chapter. Specifically, whether or not there is an off feeling to the whole Ryan situation. In order to build that up, I suggest a couple of things. A few suggestions here. Ryan's body language needs to be a bit of an indicator for the reader to pick up on. Right now, he's quite warm and receptive, but if he were to, say, fidget, look around, away, etc., that would be a good thing to help introduce a sense of unease. 2. Ryan's stories. They're touching and human, but they are not touching and human and sad. They are not imbued with any sense of unease. Perhaps the only moment of unease comes from when Ryan laughs at his stony-faced self, after which Ellie immediately thinks about her own childhood Um, if you if you get Ryan to tell the story of his drug addict sister and have him trail off, putting the photo back down, like as if he's picked it up, puts it back down, gets defensive or aloof, that's a better indication of a weirdness. 3. The scenery. Aside from the TV, there isn't much in the house to indicate weirdness. Or a strange sense of a strange. What I often use in my own writing if I want to talk about an aura of an uneasiness is like a gravity. It's a nebulous sense that something is wrong. You can get your narrator to describe a strange atmosphere with nothing explicitly wrong. There was something in the air that I couldn't quite place. And although the kitchen was warm, the company friendly, the whiskey free, I didn't feel entirely at ease. Just, you can actually declare it outright in that sense. You weave it into the descriptions of what's going on and then end it by saying, something's not right. You also mentioned as that you wanted to have this split between what the reader understands as uneasy and what Ellie understands, which is she's not at any sense of unease, but the reader is. Very difficult to do. Very difficult to do, especially if you write a story from the first person past tense with your narrator in the future, who is obviously back narrating the events. So your narrator is here, and the events of the story are here, and they have a 2020 hindsight benefit, which we've already been incorporating into the narrative so far. It's very difficult to justify as a narrator that way. A scene in which the reader understands something but Ellie doesn't, because she's in control of the story, and if she's talking about an event in the past, she obviously has made sense of it. It's going to be very difficult to justify not doing it that way. Maybe someone in chat box could have a suggestion and we can talk about it over Discord, but my impression is that it's kind of like picking up a really big, broad paintbrush and trying to draw the fine details of a portrait. If you use the wrong brush for a specific task, it's not going to achieve the same effect, and that's exactly what's happened with the choice of narration and the kinds of techniques you can pull off within the narrative. You can't really have it both ways, so to speak. Yeah, it's pretty nice. This is in response to watching anime with the girlfriend. She's playing through Ni no Kuni 2 right now, actually, which is sort of like anime. It's an anime inspired game. But yeah, Gotsuko was a really nice one to watch together, actually. Um, yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I wish I could I wish I could turn the effects of coffee on and off and be like, I want the caffeine hit now, but I want it to stop immediately when I want it to stop. Because once I have a coffee past 3 p.m., I'm up all night and I can't sleep. Yeah, that's an interesting point, Van Whitman. Sometimes when you declare body language in a specific way, it can become a tell. Body language is great for showing emotion from a character, though, so it's a 50-50 thing, I think. Hmm. Yeah, it's a very famous technique. It's kind of part and parcel with first person, I think. First person pass. Hmm. That's a good point. Yeah. Um, it, you can have your narrator not understand certain things. That's totally valid. She could be fuzzy in the moment, so the memory isn't accurate. Completely agree. We just need to see that. We need Ellie to go. The whiskey started to get to my head, and I didn't really make sense of what happened next, etc., etc. And then that split starts to be a bit more viable. But when she's sober and in control of the narrative, it's a bit harder to justify her describing something to you and then us seeing something that she can't. It's a bit, yeah. It's better once you introduce a haziness or an uncertainty or inebriation, in other words. That's probably the biggest comment I can make about here in terms of how the creepiness factor is dealt with. Going through this once more and just thinking, deciding whether or not you want to make Ellie an ignorant narrator or if you want her to, due to her emotional state, not have a complete grasp on the facts of this narrative. That might be good too. Comment too. Um, if you want to hone the uncertainty slash the idea that the reader knows something that Ellie does not, um, you need to destabilize her control over the narrative. Oh, I'm waking up in 9 hours. Thank you, Flux. It's the winter solstice today in the southern hemisphere. Yay! Happy winter solstice. It means that it's the shortest day of the year. We get the least sunlight today. Screw you, solstice. I want my sunlight. I want my sunlight. I'm sick of winter. I hate winter. I hate being cold. But then again, like, Australian cold is like British summer, so I'm cold. I'm cold all the time now. Anyway, um, you can you can destabilize her control over the narrative. Make her confused, inebriated, flustered, tired, in pain. All of these are great tools that you can employ to start introducing uncertainty into the events of the narrative. Once you get that done, it's much easier for the reader to see things that Ellie can't. Middle of a heat wave. Oh, damn, I'm jealous. Heart wave. Ha, I didn't see that. That's true. But you also get more ice. And less hug snakes. Like, there's nothing quite like a hug snake. Just you're walking to your bus stop or you're going to devote, something completely normal, and a little hug snake comes along. gives you a little hug, sinks its fangs right into your flesh. Yeah. So you guys don't have those. Hmm. Oof, that's nice. Wait, did you make that up just then, Van Whitman? That sounds like you've taken it from an excerpt from a very nice piece of writing. Did you write that just then? Please say yes. I want this to be a Van Whitman special. Because that's really nice. Ooh, nice. Well done. As the effects of a drink takes its toll on my psyche, or took its toll on my psyche, I remembered how I saw my guests that night. How their faces were like masks that had fallen off to reveal the true horror of their being, contorted into a sneer, stretched out like sharp needles onto the back of their necks. Their fine clothing was just dusty shrouds decked with dull jewels and gaudy stones. It's a really nice, very verbose piece of writing there. But yeah, I love it. It's great. That sets up the scene that you're going to be writing, really nicely. Establishes who the narrator is. Great detail, emotionally. It's laden with all these really interesting things. Yeah, cool. I would I would buy that story. Please write more like that. Please write more like that. That'd be nice. Um, Now I think next stream, I think owns. Yeah, it was herring. I think it's herringbone that I'm doing for the next stream. I'm pretty sure that's right. I think you've already sent me something over direct message. Yes, that's right. Um, well, it's the only sensible thing to do, Sayaka. Thank you in advance. That's very kind of you. Oh, cool, a new version. Yes, nice. Very good. All about that new version. So on Sunday morning, 9 a.m. my time, we will do your story. I pick select do goo. What? Commit Sudoku. Saika, I like your poem in Discord. Very shall I say Shrek inspired? Directed by Shrek, produced by Shrek, key grip A by Shrek. It's just it's all Shrek, isn't it? Mwah. Beautiful, beautiful writing there, Sayaka. That's in my Discord, by the way, for everyone else. Yes, no worries. I look forward to it. Your story's got a really interesting premise, so I can't wait to dig into it, see where it takes us. Hmm. I see. Sorry, I was off your wavelength there, Ryder. Yes, you did good. Everyone did good. No one did bad tonight. No one's ever done bad. Everyone's always done good. Hmm. Psycho, if you want some plotting help, you can always chat in Discord too. We'll just bash around some ideas. Um, is there a subreddit for that? Where you can, oh, like a world building subreddit? I'm sure there is too. Alrighty, we'll catch you next time, Molly T. Um, I'm, a, I'm probably gonna head off too, actually, so good timing. Yeah, my pleasure, Ollie. Um, I'll hope to give you an update on the carpet on Sunday. I'll show you guys again. It's very exciting. It's nothing quite like a steamed carpet. So yeah. But yeah, we'll catch you later, Ollie. And on that note, thanks Naz for letting me edit your work. This has been really cool, and I like that you've been editing through with my suggestions sort of woven in from chapter one onwards. I think just going forward from here, watch out for the dialogue, see where things take you, slow the narrative down, and make sure that there are details are fleshed out. But yeah, I'd like to see where your story goes. Can't wait to see what it looks like when it's polished. We'll catch you later, Emma. Thanks for joining us. It was a professional job right at SG. Streamed steamed carpets. That's a mouthful. Very nice mouthful. Alrighty, guys. Thanks. Yeah, words. Thank you for tonight. Thank you for joining me. I'm glad I got to show you my steamed carpet. Um, I'll be back on Sunday for more steamed carpets and maybe some editing. I don't know. We'll see. Until then, have a good couple of days. We'll catch you Sunday morning.